We're gonna party like it's 1994 in Japan, or 5 in the rest of the world. Watch the ride. Greetings one and all, this is Works and welcome to my channel with some more Battlefield 4 Team Deathmatch action style. Now, well, as you probably may know, December the 3rd will mark the 20th anniversary of the PlayStation console. It will mark the 20th anniversary of the arrival of the PS1 console in Japan. Us in the United Kingdom, Europe and America didn't get it until September the following year. So you could have counted that as a 9-month long teaser trailer, if you like. But I just want to celebrate the fact of the PS1 coming into our lives in the form of gaming entertainment over the PlayStation console in its many iterations, if you like. Now, it just harked back to the days where you got a game, you got the game. You know, it was mostly single player based. You know, the player base was more or less single player around that time, for me anyway. You know, I had no real great knowledge about online play, multiplayer game. You know, it just didn't occur to me at that time. There wasn't a lot of game shops as there are now, and the one place where I got my console and I got my games was Romford Market. And the ironic thing of all was that the price they would charge for the games is as much then as it is now for a PS4 game. You know, it used to cost like 45 to 50 pounds a game, I'll never forget it. And I would basically have to save up to buy a game. So at that point you had to really make discerning decisions and informed decisions on which games to basically play at that time. I remember the time when I used to buy PlayStation magazines, and stuck on the front of the cover you would have like a CD with like a good 5 demos of other games that were due to be released. And those were the good days, man. You know, the days when you actually bought a game and you got the game, even though the games at that time was more or less single player based games, there was still a community of gamers that, you know, felt a big part of something because of our enjoyment of those games. And it was more or less like a talking point amongst each other. I think that was more or less the shared experience that we had, sharing our experience of certain games. And you know, that was pre-multiplayer, and that was a good experience for me. You know, at that point, you know, that solidified my love of gaming, because around that time I had the Sega Mega Drive as well, and the games that used to rock that was obviously, you know, Sonic the Hedgehog and Lemmings. For some strange reasons, I just had this thing about Lemmings, man. So much so that I remember playing that game for 36 hours straight. I remember in my 50-year-old gamer video that I put up a while ago that I gave mention to that. But for those who haven't watched it and for those who don't know, that was my longest gaming session ever in my life. 36 hours non-stop playing Lemmings of all games. And it got so bad that I couldn't see, couldn't walk. I just couldn't function. My missus had to more or less basically just scrape me off the sofa, carry me to my bed, and I basically slept for like 18 hours. Nearly a whole day I slept. And that was an indication of how dangerous gaming can be. Because you heard the stories of, you know, a person dropping dead after having a marathon gaming sessions, and you just thought, nah, I don't believe that shit. But experiencing what I experienced for like 36 hours, you know, it is totally believable. But yeah, the games on the PS1, well, the game that encapsulate the PS1 for me has definitely got to be Tomb Raider, without a doubt. Tomb Raider was just one of those role-player games, whatever you want to basically call them, adventure games, that totally immersed me. I felt like I was a part of what was going on. That I could understand that being a big influence with Naughty Dog and their Uncharted series. You know, the scope of the games they had around that time was pretty big, pretty huge. And at that time, you know, gaming was a pretty young, fresh business. You know, it was not the multi-billion-dollar industry we know it to be today. And you know, games like Tomb Raider and also Resident Evil. Resident Evil was definitely a game that I loved to play on the PS1 system. You know, that was a game, yeah, you turn your lights off and you hook up your TV to your stereo. At that time we never really had surround sound. You know, so you hook up your TV to your amplifier and just immerse yourself in the action. Those were the good old days, but now it's just so competitive and so money hungry. And it's a shame because those days in comparison to now, it's like you got what you got with the games. You know, you bought a game, the game contained what it basically contains, and that's it. Enjoy it. You know, there was no freaking DLC, no season pass, none of that microtransaction bullshit that we have today. And it's a shame, you know, because not only do we have to worry about the availability of the game, we have to worry about the performance of the game and the performance of the servers that host the games as well, because everything is so reliant on multiplayer and online. So even though we might have a wicked connection, ultra fast connection, that doesn't mean to say that we're going to enjoy the game simply because we've got a good connection. You know, their servers jacking up could be the reason why you can't even basically play a game online. And for the very fact that we got to pay our PS Plus subscriptions just in order to play online, all the free games in the world ain't gonna cover it. You know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, I love free games, but free single player games can only draw your attention for a certain amount of time. It's all online. Everything is online based. You know, so there are, I know things change and things move on, you know, and I embrace it, but at the same time, you know, in order for us to embrace it, developers and companies, they've got to embrace us as gamers. Do you know what I'm saying? As to the whole general vibe of how we play games, you know, the availability of good servers, you know, at the very beginning. Concentrate on the game more than, I don't know, the DLC and the season passes. You know, stop trying to claw for our money without fixing the core mechanics of the game. Wow, that Spicanor LC, man, keep whooping my ass with that sniper rifle shit. Yeah, so I want to wish Sony a happy 20th with the PlayStation. The only time when I rocked two consoles at once was the PS1 and also the Sega Mega Drive. I tried with the Xbox One, and Halo was the game that made me buy the Xbox, and I wasn't feeling it. I know that sounds absolutely weird, but I just was not feeling Halo. I was just one of those people that was in the total minority of that. And ironically now, I'm getting an itch to buy an Xbox for the very reason of playing Halo on it. But the reality is, nah, I don't think I will, because having to pay 2 subscriptions per year is gonna get really, really expensive. You know, it's like the PC and the Mac, innit? You know, even though their functions are 2 totally different species. You know, you're just used to one, you're used to one, innit? Some people can be used to both, but it's hard to be used to both. It's like if you move from PC to Mac, it's going to be very hard for you to move from Mac back to PC. Do you know what I mean? You have to kind of adopt it from very early. And that's what I tried to do with the original Xbox, but it never worked. But that doesn't mean to say it's not a good console. It doesn't have good games, but I just can't afford to run both of them on it. But yeah, 20th anniversary of the PlayStation console as we know it. The future's bright. It's definitely bright for the console. And I do think that September 2015 is going to be a very good time, because that's going to be the 20th anniversary for the rest of the world of their PS1 console or the PlayStation console. So I think something special is going to be happening around that time. Let's hope anyway. But that's about it for me for now. And as usual, whatever the console, whatever the game, whatever the media, whatever the format, happy gaming, because that's what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And until I catch you on the next one, stack 'em up, stack 'em up. Magan, happy 20th, PlayStation.